I'm going to plug the adapter to the motherboard and then follow the voltages step by step. This circuit is 3 volt 5 volt circuit. Here we have the 5 volt channel. If we check this inductor, we have 5 volt in the multimeter, and this is the 3.3 volt channel. This inductor we gonna find 3.3 volt. So for every channel we have inductor, capacitor, inductor, capacitor, and of course we have the IC, the 3 volt 5 volt IC. You can measure 5 volt in the inductor or capacitor or test point. The same for 3.3 volt channel. You can measure 3 volt here in the inductor or in the positive terminal of the capacitor, or of course here we have the test point. This is the controller IC PU1000. We have inductor PL47, PC1014. This is for 5 volt always, and for 3 volt always we have PL46 and PC1011. For those MOSFETs, we gonna find it in the back of the motherboard. For 5 volt channel, we have PQ97 and PQ99. Do you see here? We have B plus is connected to the drain of PQ97. So here we gonna find 19 volts. So let's check. We have PQ97. We have this dot here, means this is the pin number 1, pin number 2, and pin number 3. So these 3 terminals and source. Here we have the gate, and over here we have the drain. So let's check 19 volt in the drain. So if we check the pin number 5, we have 19 volt, pin number 6, 19 volt, pin number 7, and pin number 8. So the main voltage 19 volt is present. So here we should find 5 volts, as you can see, and also in the drain of PQ99 we have 5 volt, and these terminals are connected to the ground. Hi everyone, so welcome again. Finally I'm back to hardware videos. So without wasting time, let's get started. So as you can see here, we gonna study deeply the 3 volt 5 volt circuit. So we will not see just the component, but we will use also the adapter to power the motherboard and then track voltages and signals. I'm going to show you that repairing failed laptop motherboard is not difficult. It's pretty easy. So please stay tuned, because this video will change your life as a technician, engineer, or hardware lovers. So this is the motherboard that we gonna study, i3 motherboard, but please pay attention, because always the working principle is the same. This is i3 processor, the same basically the motherboard for i3, i5 and a7, and even i9 has the same configuration, the same working principle. So here we have 3 volt 5 volt circuit. So as you see here in the schematic, we have the first channel for 5 volt and the second channel for 3 volt, as you can see here. So we have plus 3 volt always. This is the first channel where we have IC, 2 MOSFETs, inductor, and electrolytic capacitor. Here in the motherboard, we have the IC, we have inductor, we have electrolytic capacitor, and 2 MOSFETs. The same 2 MOSFETs for 5 volts, then inductor, capacitor, and we have the IC. So this is basically the main component in every circuit. So let's go deeper and see exactly the references, the component references. After that, I'm going to plug the adapter to the motherboard and then follow the voltages step step by step. So let's begin, for example, with plus 5 volt. So we have the IC. The reference for IC is PU1000. So let's see here PU1000. As you can see here, we have PU1000. So this is the controller IC. Then we have two MOSFETs, as you can see. Then we have inductor PL47. So let's see the inductor. We have PL47. So this is the inductor for 5 volt. Then we have, as you can see, PC1014, exactly as we have here in the schematic PC1014. This is electrolytic capacitor with plus and minus. We called it sometimes polarized capacitors. Its capacitance is 220 microfarad, 6.3 volt, 6.3 volt and 220 microfarad. Here basically we have plus, as you can see here, and we have minus. This mark basically refer to minus, plus and minus. Now let's see these two MOSFETs, PQ97 and PQ99. So let's see the back of the motherboard. So here we have PQ97 and over here we have PQ99. Okay, so do you see this component? This is inductor PL48. So let's go to the schematic. As you can see here, we have PL48 and we have B plus 19 volt will be passed through PL48 in order to be applied to this voltage regulator and of course to generate plus 3 volt. And as you can see here, we have RT8205 B plus. Okay, means this B plus is this, means 19 volt. This is the same voltage that is applied to plus 3 volt channel will be also applied to 5 volt channel. As you can see, we have RT8205 B plus also will be applied to this top voltage regulator to get plus 5 volt always. So if you didn't get, for example, plus 5 volt always and plus 3 volt always, you should check here 19 volt. So let's do it right now. Let's plug the adapter and check 19 volt here as B plus. B plus always means 19 volt is the voltage coming from the adapter. Okay, so let's check 19 volt right now. So please let me plug the adapter. So this is the power connector. You will find it always next to the battery connector or to the power jack. But here we don't have the power jack in the motherboard because we have the cable, the extension. So let's plug the adapter. Now the adapter is plugged. By the way, this is the charge IC and switches. We're gonna see the circuit in the next video. So because we have output 19 volts, 3.42 amps, means we gonna select 20 volt in the multimeter. So let's select it right now. So 20 volt DC is selected. So we have the 3 volt 5 volt circuit. So in the back of the motherboard we have this inductor PL48 as we have in the schematic PL48. We have to find here 19 volt. Without this 19 volt here, we will not get plus 3 volt always and plus 5 volt always. So let's check. So this is the inductor. Let's look for the ground. We have the ground everywhere in the motherboard. This here hole is a ground. This one also. This one also. So I will put the black probe here in the ground and then check this inductor. Let's check here. As you can see in the multimeter we have 19 volt. Okay, if I check the other side we will get also 19 volt. So 19 volt is present. That's cool. So 19 volt is here, so it will pass through this ceramic capacitors in order to be filtered. We have here PC 1002, PC 1003 and PC 1004. Okay, so those inductors are connected to the power rail to 19 volts in one side and to the ground in the other side. So let's look for this ceramic capacitors and check whether we have 19 volt here or not. So 1002, 1003 and 1004. So let's see the motherboard. So we have the inductor PL48 and we have 3 capacitors. So those capacitors are the 3 capacitors that we have in the schematic. So this is basically the positive terminal when we have to find 19 volt because it is connected to this inductor. Why? Because we have the same path and over here we have ground. So let's check these capacitors. Congratulations my friends, because you've made it this far in the video. It means you are genuinely interested. As a thank you, I have a special gift for you in the final minutes. Please stay tuned. You know guys that the last year I repaired over 1000 laptop 100% fixed because I know about this secret. So are you ready to know about this secret you also? So stay tuned. So the 3 capacitors is here. So always the black probe in the ground. So the first capacitor we have 19 volt. The second capacitor also 19 volt. The third capacitor we have 19 volt. Now let's see this MOSFET. As you can see, do you see this MOSFET PQ96? Also the drain of this MOSFET is connected to 19 volt. So let's see the drain of this MOSFET. So PQ96, where is PQ96 here? This is it. So if you focus here for PQ96, we have this dot here, means this is the pin number 1, pin number 2, pin number 3. So this is source, and pin number 4 is for gate, and here we have 4 pins for drain, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So if we check these pins, we should find 19 volt, exactly as we have in the schematic. So let's see. We have the MOSFET here. Let's put the black probe in the ground and check the drain here. So here we have pin number 5, 19 volt, pin number 6, 19 volt. Let's see, as you can see. So the third pin we have 19 volt. So the last pin we have 19 volt. Okay, so 19 volt is present. Why I show you 19 volt in a lot of components? Just to let you know how to check 19 volt. You can't check 19 volt in the inductor, you can't check it in the ceramic capacitors or in the MOSFETs. Okay, so once we have here 19 volt, basically we should get here plus 3 volts. So let's go to this inductor PL46. We should find in this inductor 3 volts. Okay, because as you can see the input voltage is good. So where is PL46? Here it is. Okay, so let's put always the black probe in the ground. Here we have the ground, here we have the ground. Also you can put it in the ground, into minus of ceramic capacitors. Let's try this time the ceramic capacitors, and then let's check this inductor. We should find 3 volts. Let's check. As you can see in the multimeter, 3.3 volts. Check. Also let's check this terminal, 3.3 volt. That's good. Okay, this inductor basically is for 5 volt. Let's check. 5 volt, 5 volt. So the plus 3 volt 5 volt circuit is good. So you can of course measure 3 volt for this circuit in the inductor here, as you can see, or in this capacitor the plus terminal or positive terminal, as you can see, or even in the pad. This is basically the pad or test point, as you can see. So this is the first circuit. Here we have its test point. We have, as you can see, 3.3 volts. Okay, and here we have the second circuit for 5 volt. You can check for 5 volt here in the inductor or in the positive terminal of the capacitor, as you can see, or in the pad, as you can see here, or test point, as you can see. We have 5 volts. So let's check. 5 volts. Okay, so this is basically what you have to remember in 3 volt 5 volt circuit: the IC, the 2 voltage regulator, the inductor and the capacitor. The purpose for this capacitor is to filter the voltage and get basically a pure 3.3 volt. Okay, the same for 5 volt circuit or channel. This we called it channel, the first channel, and over here we have the second channel. And as you can see, of course, we have 19 volt. This is B plus. Over here we have B plus. Okay, this B plus will be applied to this channel and also to this channel. To the same channel means if you have any problem here, if 19 volt is absent, you will not get plus 3 volt, neither 5 volt. Why? Because they have the same B plus. As you can see, the reference RT8205. Here also we have RT8205. So in order to troubleshoot the plus 5 volt 3 volt channel, you should always look for this kind of inductor. As you can see here, this kind of inductor are always the input inductor. You can find this inductor everywhere in the motherboard. Let's see, for example. So for this circuit, here we have the inductor. We have another inductor here for this circuit. Okay, we have another inductor here for this circuit, and we have another inductor here for the CPU circuit, and we have another inductor here for chipset, for NOT bridge. If you want my advice, the first step if you want to troubleshoot any motherboard is to look for the inductor, SMD inductor. This kind of inductor is where you should check 19 volt. If you didn't find 19 volt, for example here, you didn't find here 19 volt, so it's a waste of time to troubleshoot this component. Let's see the whole circuit. This is basically the whole circuit where we have plus 3 volt and 5 volt. Okay, so the first step is to look for 19 volt. Do you have 19 volt here in the input or not? If you didn't find 19 volt, it's a waste of time to troubleshoot this component and circuits. You should go back and look for the source and why the 19 volt is not present here, unless if you have the short circuit. How you can know whether you have a short circuit in the motherboard without making measurement in the motherboard? I will show you how. Very simple. Here we have the adapter. Okay, do you see this LED here? So I will plug the adapter and see here. Do you see? We have the LED is coming on, and of course the adapter is connected to the motherboard, means we don't have the short circuit. If the motherboard is shorted, this LED will be off. Okay, so in this motherboard we don't have the short circuit, means if you didn't find here 19 volt, don't waste your time troubleshooting this circuit. So basically this is the good tips that if you use it, you will gain a lot of time or repairs. Do you know that 3.3 volt always and 5 volt always are the hidden secret that experts know about hardware repair, especially computer repair? I will prove to you. Here we have 5 volt always, okay? And over here we have 3.3 volt always. Inside the motherboard we have all these voltages as you see here, and 90% of voltages are coming from and extracted from 5 volt always and plus 3.3 volt always. For 5 volt always, so as you can see here, this arrows means all these voltages here, as you can see, are coming from plus 5 volt always. The same for plus 3.3 volt always. Do you see here? This arrows means all these voltages are coming from 3.3 volts always. So the majority, about 90% of voltages in every motherboard are coming from plus 3.3 volt always and 5 volt always. Means what? Now we go deeper a little bit. This is basically the expert level. Means that 90% of motherboard failures are due to plus 5 volt always and plus 3.3 volt always. I show you how. Let's take a look to these voltages that is derived or extracted from 3.3 volt. We have 3.3 volt for LAN, we have for wireless, 3.3 volt for PCH. PCH means the graphic card integrated with the ICH or the sound bridge. We have plus 0.3 volt RAM for chipsets, also plus 3.3 volt RAM for the WAN. For LCD VDD means what? Means if you have a problem with the display, you should check the plus 3.3 volt. If plus 3.3 volt is missing, you will not get any voltage over here. You will not get the voltage for LCD, VDD, for the memory, for the cam, for the audio, for the GFX or graphic card, etc. The same for 5 volt. If 5 volt is missing, none of this voltage will be generated. The USB will not work. The USB charge, the 5 RAM for HDD and for ODD, the prime core, the TSP, the audio, etc. Unlike, for example, this IC. So based, for example, on this voltage, we get just 1 voltage. And based on this voltage, we get here just 3 voltages, not like 5 volt and 3.3 volt always. So guys, please don't miss out and don't neglect the plus 5 volt always and plus 3.3 volt always. All failure, about 95% of motherboard failure are due to these 2 voltages. Do you know that the BIOS failure are due to this voltage, 3.3 volt? Because without 3.3 volt, the BIOS cannot work. Also, the power switch or the on-off button, its working voltage is plus 3.3 volt. That's why I focus on plus 3.3 volt and 5 volts, and of course I will make a lot of videos about these 2 voltages, because basically these 2 voltages are the motherboard. If you master these 2 voltages, that's it. You can repair any Mac. Sure, 100%. Based on my experience, when I know about this secret, I can repair any motherboard regardless of its failure. You know guys that the last year I repaired over 1000 laptop 100% fixed because I know about this secret. Because we discussed this power sequence, let's see an overview about it. The first thing to check, of course, is the adapter. Here we have the adapter. Is the adapter good? You should check if the adapter generates 19 volts. Depending, of course, on the type of laptop, it could be 20 volt, 18 volt, 12 volt, etc. Let's assume the majority of laptops will find 19 volt. First step is to check whether the adapter generates 19 volt. The second step is to check the power jack or the DC jack. Is it good or not? Because when the DC jack is bad, is not connected to the motherboard, the 19 volt will not pass from the adapter to the motherboard circuit. Okay. After that, of course, we have the power SRC. This basically is 19 volt. Okay, so we can get this voltage from the adapter. Okay, we can get it from the adapter, from the adapter here, or from the battery. Okay, because we have two types of source. We can use adapter or battery. And of course here we have, this is the charger or the charge IC. We have charger, its reference is ISL 88738. Okay, so this is the control IC. So we should get 19 volts. Check first the adapter, then check the power jack, then we should check whether we get 19 volts or not. After that, of course, after the presence of 19 volt, we should automatically find plus 5 volt always and plus 3.3 volt always in the motherboard without powering on the laptop. Okay, so this is why I want to manifest for you the importance for these two voltages that we consider main voltages. So we have three main voltages in the motherboard. The first is 19 volt, the second is 3.3 volt, and the third is 5 volt. Based on these three voltages, all voltages, as you can see, are developed based on these three voltages. The main voltage 19 volt generates these two voltages, 5 volt and 3.3 volt always, and based on this we get all these voltages for the motherboard. So I hope that you understand a little bit. Please like the video because your likes motivate me to create more videos for you in a daily basis. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon because I can only help you if you are subscribed and get notified for future videos like this one. And for anyone who want to join me in my Patreon page, you are very welcome. By the way, the schematic that I use in this video, you gonna find it in my Patreon page, and of course I will put you the link in the first comment. Feel free to download it, of course, for free. You have to just subscribe to my Patreon page and download as much as you want of laptop schematics, and of course you gonna find a very unique and exclusive content. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.